Hi guys, I'm Samina from the codecottage.com and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the 30 days of code for WordPress themes. So over the next 30 days, I am going to show you how to create a really stunning WordPress theme from scratch. We'll be using underscores skeleton theme and we'll be designing that. But before we actually get into the actual WordPress development, we'll be creating our own website with HTML and CSS, and it will be pretty static. And once we are done with the static website and are happy with its functionality and the way it looks, then we will replace some of that code with dynamic code from using PHP for WordPress. Now, before we actually begin, just a quick note that I am entirely self-taught, and the reason why I have started this YouTube channel is so I can feel more confident in the way I write my programs and the way I code. Because my ultimate intention and goal is to become a software developer. So if this is something that will help you in your journey, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell icon, because for the next 30 days, I'll be posting one video every single day. So I think I've spoken enough. Also, I will be posting the timestamps down in the description box below for the different sections of this video, just so you can skip forward if you don't want to spend time on a certain aspect. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that I want to show you is all the stuff that we are going to be making. So here we have the theme. So essentially, this is what our website, our final website, I intend for it to look like. So this is beyond the scope of this video because my main goal is to keep coding non-stop for 30 days. So I will not, unfortunately, be showing you how I made this wireframe, but it's very simple. I've just used Photoshop and I've just created using simple shapes and stuff. How I want the final website to look like. So here we'll have a little header bar which will have this colors, which will have this hex code color, and here we'll have the social media. So the icons will go here. I've just typed it out, but ultimately when we do this in HTML, the different social media icons will be placed here. This will be the navigation menu. So that is our navigation section. Then we move on to the header section where our logo will be placed. So I have made this logo separately as well, and you can also type it out, because when we actually take this into WordPress, I will be showing you how you could actually give the client or the end user an option of either uploading their own logo or simply typing out the name of their blog, and it will adapt to the styling of the whole website. Then we move down to this hero section. So this hero section will ideally contain a little post. So this would be a featured image, and over that we'll have a text overlay with a light orange background with slightly less opacity, and this will be a little snippet or an excerpt of that actual post and the possibility to read more. So when you click on this, it will go into the post that you have written or that the end user has written. It could be a blog post. What I love about this section is that it is extremely customizable. So we'll be using advanced custom fields later on, and this will give the client or the end user the complete freedom to use the post that they want to feature, and it won't automatically update. All the user will have to do is enter an image and just link it to the post, and it will grab the featured image, grab the excerpt and everything else automatically. Then we move down, and this is our category features. So every blog might have a couple of categories. For example, when I had my food blog, I basically did a baking desserts blog. So I would, for instance, have categories like cakes and cupcakes, tarts and pies, brownies and bars. So these would be those categories. Say a site visitor wants to read all the posts that are included in travel. So they'll click on travel and it will take them to the category that contains all of the posts within travel. Similarly for food and lifestyle as well. Then we move on to the next section. This will be the sign up section. So you want to create an email list, or you want your end user, your potential customer, the blogger, to have an email list. So this is that section. And it's not just a bare bones structure. Once you click on subscribe, we will also be linking this to our MailChimp account. So the minute you hit subscribe, it will take you into the MailChimp, into your MailChimp account, and as soon as you have a subscriber, it will update into their database. So we will be linking it to a newsletter service provider as well. Then we move on to this section from the blog. Now, as you saw earlier, this was for categories, but this is individual blog posts. So say you want to feature a certain blog post that's really performing well and you want it to bring to the forefront. So this is the section where the users can do that. So they get to choose which blog post they want to feature here. Finally then, a little bit about the author who is writing this blog. So once you click the read more button, it will take them to the about page. This is the Instagram feed. And finally then, this is the footer. We want to keep the footer really simple. So we'll be adding the copyrights and the link to the person who designed the website. So in this case, it would be the Code Cottage. We'll be having that in the footer, but you can obviously customize this, but this is what the home page will look like. So we have that sorted. That's the home page. We'll be designing the blog page when we get to it, but we'll just tackle this section first because we want to really not overwhelm ourselves. It's 30 days and we'll easily be able to finish this over the next 30 days. So first we'll focus on the task at hand, which is creating an HTML and CSS structure for the home page. Now I just want to quickly take you through the brand board, just so you know all the colors that have been used. So this is my logo. These are my hex code colors. I've included all of this in the description box below, so there's no need to worry. These are the fonts that we'll be using throughout the course, or throughout the course of our WordPress theme development. Perfect. So now we will get started. I'm going to start with Sublime Text. Sublime Text is my choice of code editor. So first things first, I am going to start creating my resources folder within Orange Marmalade. Now the resources folder will contain one folder for the CSS files, one folder for JavaScript files, another folder for all the stock photos, and that's it. So within the stock photos, I'm going to post all of my photos. Now these are all the photos that I have got from pexels.com. So you can see over here. It's absolutely stunning, super minimalist. There you go. So once I type minimalist, I get these images, a really beautiful list, very tastefully created and curated. So these are the images that I have saved into my folder containing img, and then I'll also be renaming them accordingly as and when we need them, because we can't possibly type all of this into our HTML file, because even if we make a slight error, the image will be broken and won't show up. So now that we have our resources, the images within the resources set, let's get started with creating the base for our Orange Marmalade theme. So the first thing that I want to do is go to responsivegridsystem.com and I'm going to download this zip file. And I'm not going to unzip this because I've already done that over here. And you will see that it's got 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns, all the way up to 12 columns, and a main style sheet for columns. So loading all of these individually would be a very tedious task. So what I will be doing now is combining all of them into a single CSS file, which I will call grid.css. So I'm just going to create a new file and I'm going to save that. Now to save it, I'm going to come into Orange Marmalade, Resources, and CSS. So this will contain all of our CSS files, and I'll be calling it grid.css. Now I'll be opening within resources. I'll go into responsive grid system and open all of these files. We don't need this as of now. I'm just going to open all of them. So what I'll do now is I'll take the 2 columns first. First I'll go into call.css, right? Now I'll take the sections part of it, go into grid.css, post that here, then go back to call.css. I won't be taking the group, I'll be taking the grid column setup, all of this, right? So we leave the group part out. Now the next thing that we do is add this piece of code. By the way, I will also have all of this code included on my blog within the codecottage.com. Everything is linked down below. So I will be calling this group, but I will write a different set of code. So I'm going to take this. Actually, I'll just copy all of this, but instead of grouping, I'll put that here, because once I start with call, I want all of the calls to be together. So instead of group, I'm going to call it row, because I'm going to be naming all of my classes row. So here we go. So this is the grouping part done. Now we have the main call. Now we'll close that so we don't want to confuse anything. We go to 2 calls, copy that, paste that here, then we close that. Then we go to 3 calls, copy the whole thing and paste that here, then we close that. 4 calls, do the same thing all the way till you've reached call 12. So I'm just going to quickly get this done. Go to 6. Seven of 7, so I have done 7 as well. 8 is done also. That's 9. By the way, I'm using Command A to select all of the content within the individual call.css files, and then Command C, Command V on my Mac. Calls are now here. So as you can see, they all have simple calls, like call span, and then they also have the media queries. So as you can see, full width at less than 480 pixels. So as soon as the computer screen or the browser screen goes less than 480 pixels, all the columns will span 100%. So we won't have divisions. In one row, we'll have one column, which will make it much easier in terms of user experience, much enriching experience. So now our grid.css is ready. I'll be closing that. And now I'll be creating a new file. and I'll be putting this in resources. I won't be putting this in any of these folders. It will be a separate file which I will call index.html. Now index.html will be our main HTML file, which will contain the home page data, the home page code. So the very first thing, as with any HTML, is doc type HTML, and then we have HTML. So when I put that into Sublime Text, it automatically puts that up for me, but I don't want that. I want to learn, so I'm not going to let it do all of that hard work for me. I am going to do that myself. So I have HTML, then we have head, within head I will have title, then I'll have body, and then I have closing HTML. Oh, that's already done for me. So that is basically the structure of our HTML. Now there's just a few things that we need to add just to make it more semantic and ensure that the computer understands exactly what we're trying to do here. So here I'll add the following code. Now again, it's not important to understand what this means. It's just important to include this because it will make a difference. Now this is for my this is basically for when you want to make it mobile responsive. So it's very important to add this set of code. Now it's not very important to understand what it is because it's just something that you have to learn to add. I can basically write this at the top of my head. So that's for making our website responsive. Then the next one, just keep writing it. It's just meta tags. I would also like to apologize for this constant honking. I live in a place which is very busy. It's a highway outside my apartment, and there's always cars honking at absolutely any random time of the day. Really annoying, but absolutely nothing I can do about it. Anyway, so here we have the meta tags included. Don't worry if you don't understand what this is. It's not important to understand what it means. Basically, it's just something that you have to include in your HTML file. Now we will include the title of this, which is Orange Marmalade. Also, we won't be needing any of this while we make it dynamic in WordPress because WordPress will already have all of those coding standards in place, so there's nothing much to worry about. Just include this in HTML just to make sure that it works perfectly while we test our website on a static basis. So now we have all of this. Now it's time to link all of our external CSS files. So the first thing I want to do is include that grid.css, but before I include all the files, there is another thing that we need to download, that is normalize.css. So as you can see here, it makes browsers render all elements more consistently and in line with modern standards. It precisely targets only the styles that need normalizing. Very easy. Just click on that download button and you'll have this file. Copy it and then open a new file, paste it here and save it as normalize.css within your CSS folder. Normalize.css. So now we have this section here. Now obviously if we want to include all of this, now I'm also going to create another file called style.css, but here I won't call it style, I'll call it custom.css, because as you know, once we take it to WordPress, the skeleton theme which we'll download from underscores will already have a style.css file, so we don't want the names to clash. So I'll call it custom.css, store it within my CSS folder. There you go. Now we want all of these to load in our main home page, and the way to do that is to call those files. So I'm first going to include a comment called linking all external CSS files. So that's how you put a comment. So once I've included this comment, it will give me a better idea so I don't confuse the code with anything else. And now it's time to link all of those. So link rel equals style sheet, type is text/css, and then href is equal to, now here I'll be linking that. So what I will do is, just for the sake of understanding this, I will open the resources folder, right? And as you can see, we have this, so there's nothing to worry about. Now the resources folder is where we are saving everything. Oops, here you go. So we need to go into CSS and then link all of these files. So the href, or the reference path to this, would be css/grid.css. Similarly, link rel equals, I'm just going to space this out just so it looks very neat, right? Style sheet, type is equal to text/css. Again over here as well, I'll just space it out. href is equal to css/normalize.css. Close that tag, and then the last one would be style sheet, type is text/css, href is equal to custom.css, custom.css. So that is linking all of our files. Now just to be sure that it works, what I'll do is I'll just put an h1 tag, and as we always do, the first piece of code will be hello world, and now we're just going to view this in browser. And as you can see, we have hello world here. Woohoo! We've done the very first step of getting our website up. Now let's just see if our custom.css works. So I'm going to go into my custom.css and target the h1 tag. So I'm going to do color red, and text transform will be lowercase. It's a very obnoxious choice, but that's the only way we'll be able to instantly spot if our style sheet is working and is connected well to index.html. So I am just going to go into this page and refresh it. And there you go, it works. So now we know for sure that our style sheet is well connected to the web page. Now the next part is to include our fonts. Now as you saw earlier, the two fonts that we'll be using is Playfair and Railway. So to get those, I'll be going into Google Fonts, and over there you can just have a look through if you want to make changes to the font, but I absolutely love Playfair display, so I'm going to be adding this. So I'll click on this addition, I'll get into that, I'll customize it because I also want to add the italics, the bold italics, and the black as well. I may not take the italics for the black one, but these are the ones that I'll be taking. I'll also be adding Railway to the mix because I absolutely love having this for the body content. So for that, I just simply want the regular one because I'll only be using this for content. I don't want any of these. Now, as you can see, the load time it says will be slow. So what you can do is you can go back over here and just audit the things that you will not need. So I know that I want my headings to be bold, so I will skip italics probably. Maybe I'll take this one. Okay, so now it says moderate, fair enough. So now we want to embed this. Now it gives us different options. What I want is this one. So I'll be copying this and then just pasting that below my custom.css. And now our font is ready as well. So just to test that, I'm going to go into my CSS, and for that same h1 tag, I'll be making it Playfair display, and as an alternate, I'll be giving it the option of serif. So in case it cannot locate this for some reason, it will always display a serif font instead. So let's refresh this and see if it works. And there you go, it works. Now because the previous one was a serif as well, I can do two things first. Change the font weight to 900 because as you can see, these are the options for the weights. So I'm going to choose the boldest one, and as you can see, it did make a change. So I can say that it's working, but just to be extra sure that it is, just to make sure that you are convinced that it is, I'm going to call it Railway. So then it changes to sans serif. Sorry. Oops. Perfect. So now I'm going to refresh this, and there you go. So now our style sheets are loaded. Our index.html is set. We've also included grid and normalize into this. So we are all set right now. But now we also need some JavaScript because we'll be using that at a later stage. Now JavaScript is always added at the bottom of the page before the closing body tag. So I'll be adding a little comment here. And now the two main JavaScript files that we need for the time being is jQuery and Font Awesome. So Font Awesome is this amazing website where you get icon fonts, and for using that, I like to go to start. So we're going to download Font Awesome free for the web. Show that in the Finder. I'm going to put that into my orange Marmalade theme. I'm just going to close that window, unzip this, and use a JavaScript from it. So we have all.js. So what I'll do is I'll take this, copy that, and go into resources. So I'm going to link all my JavaScript files now. So script src, and then close the script tag. Now here I'll be doing, we know that our the font awesome file is within JS all.js. So I'm going to save that, and I'm also going to go into my, so this is what I type here, Google hosted libraries. And once I get in there, I'm going to look for jQuery, which will be here, and this is the latest. So I'll be copying that and posting here. So always remember, all your JavaScript files will be towards the end of your document, HTML index.html document, but just before the closing body tag. I'll save that. And I'm just going to refresh this page. Now just to see if this works, fontawesome.io. And then just choose an icon. I love this icon because I use it most of the times for my footer, where I say designed with love by the Code Cottage. So I always use this heart in every website. So FA heart is the class name, and just put that after my h1 tag. And then I'm going to go into orange Marmalade again and refresh it, and there you go. It's got the heart here, and I can directly influence the positioning and the color and the different aspects of that. So now I just want to target this again, just to make sure that the CSS works with this as well. So I'm going to target its class, which is FA heart, and then color red, and font size, I'll just make it 40 pixels, just extraordinarily big, just to see that it makes, and it does. So we will be wrapping up this video because we have done everything that we wanted to do for today. We have our index.html set up, all of this. So our bare bone structure is ready. We have linked it to our HTML, the CSS file as well. And now we are all set to actually start getting it to look like this. Now in the next video, we will be building this section, this entire section, not the whole website, sorry, this social media and the navigation section, and we'll also be styling it. So I hope you found this video useful. All the links are down in the description box below. This code snippet will be available on my blog as well. Everything has been linked down. If you have any comments or suggestions, then pop it down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe and hit the bell icon, because I'll be posting one video every single day building this WordPress theme, and I'm so excited to have you on this journey because we're going to build amazing things using the power of code. And I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.